The Downtown Rams podcast is brought to you by Rams On Demand, Seat Giant, Vibe 305, and RWO, Rams World Order. Now enjoy the show.
Down the middle, to the end zone, caught by Brandon Cooks. Shoot your arrows.
It's picks. Nickel Roby Coleman
throws. Enzo caught, touchdown. Tyler Higbee. Cooper Kupp walks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. LaMarcus Joyner returns to the lineup with an interception in London. 35-30. Robert Wood, first down 20. 10-5. Touchdown. LA! No, it's Goff who keeps it. And Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there and comes away with his third sack of the afternoon. Met immediately and sacked. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. And he gets gobbled up. Savage has to eat it as Michael Brockers picks up the sack. He's decked by Ebu Tom. Picked off. Marcus Peters. Strutting his stuff. Mark Barron the last 4 weeks has been a Pro Bowler.
Oh, it's picked off on the play by John Johnson.
After the throw, and we mentioned that is his 8th completed pass in his career.
Cousins sacked. Ndamukong Suh. Of all the guys, it's the rookie John Franklin Myers who knocks it out of Cousins' right hand. Todd Gurley, 20, 10, Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. It's episode 166, and we got a great episode for you because we have two awesome interviews. We have Notre Dame Irish tight end Nic Weishar, and we have Kansas offensive guard Dwayne Wallace, and it's going to be a lot of fun. They're getting ready for the NFL draft, so we're really lucky to have them on our show, and that's going to be the show for tonight, so hope you guys enjoy, and here we're going to start off with Dwayne Wallace, and then we'll go right into Nic Weishar. So here are the interviews, and enjoy the rest of the show. All right, guys, joining us on the podcast, we have Kansas offensive guard Dwayne Wallace, who's entering the NFL draft. How's it going, man? Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, man, it's going great. Pleasure to have me on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course. We're looking forward to talking to you, and so excited that you were able to come on. And I guess we'll just get it rolling. And I guess just to start off, I'm just curious, how did you get your start playing football? How old were you, and what kind of got you interested in playing the game?
Oh, man, it's funny because my first time being around football is back home in Florida. I was at Avon Park Middle School going into high school, and I actually tried to play soccer goalie, and the soccer coach sent me to football. And then I went to the team, and it was like, man, I didn't really know anything, so I played D-line, and I only knew one thing, just go. So it was kind of a little bit more easy and simple. And then after that, I had moved to Cali the end of my junior year, and then moved with my dad and just went out there, and I started playing offensive line, and I just kept getting better. And I didn't have grades out of high school, so I went to a junior college, Riverside City College. I was like a 2-time All-American. And then I had a lot of offers, and then I went to Cal Berkeley, did 2 years there, transferred. And after I transferred from Cal, got a great opportunity to play with Coach Beatty and at Kansas. And, man, it was a wonderful experience. Didn't have the season we wanted, but man, I love those guys, and we underachieved, but I know those guys are going to make it up this year.
Well, I love it, obviously. I'm in upstate New York, and I've seen just about every Kansas game, so, I definitely appreciate what you guys, put in, and we'll talk more in depth about that, but, really quickly, I just want to know, because we always ask, who is your favorite, or who was your favorite NFL player growing up?
Jason Peters from the Eagles. Oh, man, I just feel like we just play alike. He's aggressive, big, and athletic, and got good feet. And I just, I kind of, always watched him, like watching him. And, I like Williams from the Redskins too. Those two kind of guys I kind of like try to play like, you know, they just mean, aggressive, and, you know, like they just athletic and have good feet and good technique. And that I kind of grew up kind of idolizing those guys, learning from them.
Yeah, those are definitely good guys to look up to, and obviously, like you mentioned, just phenomenal athletes. I just wanted to touch on real quick. You kind of touched on this earlier, but what made you initially decide to transfer from California to Kansas? Was that an easy decision for you, or how did that kind of come to be?
You know, we had a new coaching staff, and I just wanted a fresh start, and it was just time for me to leave. And I had a lot of offers. I had Ole Miss, Tennessee, and I had a lot of places. I could have went a lot of places, but, you know, I really like Coach David Beatty and the rest of the coaching staff. It was all love. Like, it was like, you know, they really, really wanted me, and, you know, they showed me nothing but love. And, you know, like, I take that any day over, like, just going to a regular program. And I always been an underdog. So, you know, we had some good pieces coming in. So, you know, I thought that we was going to really, you know, turn the program around. And we did just a little bit, but, you know, unfortunately I didn't have another year. So we'll come back this year and really, you know, get things rolling. But that's one of the main reasons why I picked Kansas.
Yeah, they really, you know, obviously Beatty, obviously he's not there anymore, but I mean, I don't think he gets enough credit as a recruiter. I mean, they really started to, you know, pile in the recruits. I mean, obviously, such as yourself, different guys that were transferring from programs. I mean, talk about, obviously, you know, Charlo coming from Alabama and, you know, guys like that. So, you know, I definitely see what you're saying there. And, you know, I think, again, I think they're really setting themselves up for the future. And, I mean, this is a program that, you know, everyone's so... You know, they'll talk bad about Kansas, but when they're on, they're on. I mean, you just go back to the Orange Bowl days and the days with, you know, Dana Stubblefield and, you know, obviously Leroy Irvin and Nolan Cromwell. So, you know, I mean, this is a storied program, and, you know, I'm glad that, you know, you were able to obviously take part in that. But, you know, with that being said, you play in the Big 12, and there's so much talent that comes from that, you know, conference. Who was the toughest player that you went up against?
I would say 99 from Kansas State. I don't know if it was just because it was a rivalry game, but, you know, he when I went against him, he gave me the most like competitive game, and I loved it, and it was just every play we was just going at it, and I definitely respect the game.
Yeah, and another thing is, you know, that's the toughest player. But what would be the favorite game that you played in college, in your entire college career?
Oklahoma.
The one this year?
Yeah.
That was wow. that was a game. Man, I mean, you know, it just.
Oh man, it was just fun. Like from the beginning, like they had us 35 points underdog at their house, and we had nothing to lose. They had everything to lose, and man, we came out with swagger from the first play. And then like I've never been in a game to where I was just dying to go back on the field because we knew that they couldn't stop us, and we couldn't really stop them, but we was making plays on defense at the same time. So it was just like it was sad that we lost, but like, you know, it was just a fun game, man. Even though we lost, it was just a fun game.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I remember watching that game, like, you know, I was at a bar and a bunch of guys were like, oh, what you got the over on 35, you know, against Kansas? And I was like, no. You know, I just had a feeling the way you guys came out, and, you know, obviously it wasn't a win, but I mean, that to me in that, you know, scenario, I mean, that was really a win in itself. I mean, you really stood up toe-to-toe against a team that, you know, competed in the college football playoffs. So, you know, I thought that was huge. And obviously Kyler Murray, somebody that, you know, has a chance to go number one overall, and I thought, the defense did a great job. And then, of course, you and Fontana and all those guys, you kept springing open Puka, and I mean, Puka Williams is just, phenomenal. Obviously you blocked for him, his true freshman year this past year. And I mean, again, he just had a monster year, kind of blew up onto the scene. What are your thoughts on Puka Williams, and how good do you think he can be?
Oh man, the sky's the limit for that guy. I mean, like, from the first day we got in the pads, he was making plays, and I was like, man, this guy got to be on the field. And he missed the first game. Everybody was kind of out of tune, but he came on the field and gave the offense a different life, and like, everybody believed in him. And we got good backs. We got obviously Leo, Dom. We just had like a lot of good backs that we couldn't really get on the field. But like, Puka came in day one, and as a freshman, you don't see too many freshmen just coming in wanting a spot. Like, like me and him really close, and he told me like, man, I really need this job. And I was like, man, it's yours. Just compete. And that's all he did from day one. He got in there and compete. And that guy's just a playmaker at any given moment. And like, he was a freshman, so he was a little bit underused, even though he was making plays. But I feel like this year, like, that guy's really gonna take off. Like, I know Les Miles gonna have a lot of packages for him. Probably got him at receiver or running back. And man, that guy's just amazing. He's gonna be a great player in the Big 12 and a great player for Kansas.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you mentioned, this kid is a freshman, and he's, already playing at such a high level, and the sky, is the limit for him. He's certainly someone to keep an eye on, and, someone that Kansas fans, I have a feeling, are going to absolutely love in years to come. But in regards to you, what would you say is, you're a player, in my opinion, with a lot of strengths. What would you say is your biggest strength, and what part about your game do you think is going to stand out most to these NFL teams?
I love to run block, and like, I finish people, and I got good feet, good hips, and I had a great offensive line coach at Kansas, and he was big on technique, and I was always a big, strong, aggressive guy. So with honing my technique, sky was the limit for me, and that's the biggest part of my game. I just feel like I'm just a dominant run blocker, and I had a good opportunity to show that in the Big 12 this year, because towards the end of the season, we kind of figured out that we need to run the ball more, and that's what we did. So it was definitely fun, man. I'm a great pass blocker too, but I love to run block.
Yeah, I mean, you said end guys and finish plays. I mean, I just tweeted not long ago, this man has a family, Dwayne. Like, I was watching the game, right before this interview, I was watching the game again, with Oklahoma State. And there were two back-to-back plays where you just made this guy, you might have taken him right off draft boards. I mean, he just, man, like, not right. But, no, absolutely. With that being said, though, you have a lot of strengths. And, of course, it's the NFL and things are about to get, more, obviously, bigger and everything. What would you say is the one, area that you need to improve on the most?
I just need to improve on just being more flexible, like just staying more square in my stance. And I just give a lot of credit to like my coaches and just getting me on there. Like I said, towards the end of the season, I was getting better, just like honing in my technique. That's my biggest thing, just technique and just getting more flexible. And I'm training right now with Tom Shaw in Orlando, and we're doing a lot of core and flexibility stuff. And I just feel great. And, sky's the limit as far as my game, because, like, I sat out a year of football. Really, me and Alex sat out a year. So, like, as an offensive line, we didn't really get to gel like that, but we gelled fast. Like, every game we got better and better. And, man, it was just a beautiful, beautiful thing, just seeing everybody improve and seeing everybody, like, like, regardless of the season we had, just, just trusting and believing and honing the technique and just the willing to improve every week. And you don't see that too much, especially like with like just the way the season was going, and like, you know, like we just got a really group of great men like Joe Deneen and Daniel Wise, and you know, I just wish that we could have had a better season to, you know what I'm saying, end those guys' career, but you know, they have great careers in the NFL. So.
Yeah, for sure. And Joe's a guy who we've had on the show actually before, and he was so fun to talk to and seemed like such a great guy. And a question that I have for you is something that I never played football, so I obviously probably wouldn't know firsthand how this goes, but how do you prepare for a quicker defensive lineman as opposed to maybe comparing or preparing for somebody who's more of a power lineman?
Just moving my feet and make sure I get my hands on them. You know, like just being patient. Like offensive line is all about being patient, especially when you got somebody faster. So, you know, just more of just being patient and like really using your technique, and then you just got to go from there. And just watching a ton of film. I watch a ton of film to see like what they do best, what moves they do, and on a weekly basis, I just kind of like watch film, study the guy. You know, I really know what he's about to do. It's just a matter of when he's going to do it, and always be prepared, always be a step ahead. You know, so that's just how I prepare for faster guys. And we got a great D line, so we go at it every week. So obviously they get me better. I just feel like I'm just well prepared going into most weeks.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you know, it's funny because, you know, I watch your film and obviously just watch you throughout the season, and just that first punch that you land. I mean, I think it was my buddy Emery Hunt, friend of the podcast, and you know, he does this little prospect ranking, and I caught the video, and he ranked you pretty high among, you know, the offensive guards in this class, and he said, you know, you're one of those guys that punches like, you know, the force of George Foreman, I think he said. So I thought that was hilarious. I almost fell off my chair, but I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, you know, your punch is nasty. I mean, and I think that's you know, that's the key there. You know, you have a lot of qualities, and you know, the NFL, it's a tough game because there's only 5 starters on an offensive line. Yeah. There's only 32 teams, but you know, when you have those qualities, and obviously you're focusing on flexibility, I think you really have a chance to make it in this league. And I mean, Kansas offensive linemen, you know, they aren't, you know, I mean, Tanner Hawkinson is somebody, you know, in the past he played for the Cincinnati Bengals, I believe, and then the other kid whose name's escaping me, unfortunately, the left tackle for the Orange Bowl team. I mean, yeah. He was unbelievable. I think his name is Anthony something, but I forget. But I mean, really, like, you're talking about, you know, a school that has put out NFL talent, and obviously, you know, the defense. You talk about Aqib Talib and you know, Chris Harris Jr. I mean, this school definitely puts out NFL talent, and you know, I really, obviously, I wish you the best of luck, and I'll be following you all the way. But, you know, with that being said, we're talking about the NFL. I mean, if you know, get your opportunity, who do you most want to stonewall at the next level?
Oh, man, I really want to go against Aaron Donald. I just want to, like, you know, I'm just a competitor, and I just want to go against the best. Like, just like, that's just how I always look at it. Like, I want to go against the best, and, like, you know what I'm saying, compare my talent and just see what I got to work on and just see how I do. And, like, that's just my mindset. Like, even when I was at Kansas, like, I go with Daniel Wise every day because that's the only way I feel like I'm going to get better. And, of course, J.J. Holmes. And, well, man, all of our D linemen is great. But, you know, like, I really, like, go down the line. You know, and then, like, just get better. Like, I just know, like, when I go against Daniel, it's a work day. And like,
Right.
it's fun. It's just fun. It's just fun. Like, a lot of people shy away from competition, but I don't, because it just get me better.
Right. And Aaron Donald certainly would be the ultimate challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
just an absolute beast, as we know and as I know that for sure. But my next question, are there any quarterbacks that you'd like to block most for in the NFL, and including, someone who you might be familiar with is Jared Goff, because he obviously was the Cal quarterback.
Yeah, man, I love the block for Jared, man. Me and Jared got a good relationship, and I was there throughout the whole process when he went first overall, and man, just good guy, great kid, great football player, and that would be definitely cool if I could go back and block for Jared. It would just be like good old times. So that definitely would be really, really cool.
Without a doubt. I mean, I really was interested to know that, because obviously I know you didn't get a chance to block for him at Cal, because if I'm not mistaken, you were a JUCO guy that you committed in 2015, but you were a 2016 recruit, correct?
Yeah. So like when I came in December, and this season was over. But like Jared was just always around. He stayed there for like a good 2 months and was just getting right, working out, stuff like that. And then he left and went to train, I think, in Thousand Oaks. So obviously, like, I've talked with him, spent time with him, and we talked together and stuff like that. Went out there on the field and stuff with us. He was thrown to our guys and stuff like that. So I knew him a short amount of time, but that short amount of time, it was just, he was just a cool guy, fun to be around, and just nothing but great things.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And real quick, I do remember the guy's name, by the way, was Anthony Collins. But anyway, that was killing me. Lastly, or not lastly, but I do have a question for you, because you're talking about Aaron Donald. Obviously we're a Rams podcast, and you talk about Jared Goff and how awesome he is. But we want to know, have you met with the Los Angeles Rams yet?
No, they've definitely called and inquired about me. They've been talking to my agent. I've talked to them at the Tropical Bowl and at the NFLPA Bowl. I talked to a couple scouts there, so it's definitely some real good interest from the Rams. So I don't know how it's gonna go. So if they pick me, that'd be awesome. But nobody knows.
Yeah, well, we certainly hope that they continue to talk to you, and we get excited to know that they're inquiring about you, because we'd love to see you end up in Horns and end up a Ram. But just to kind of wrap it up, my final question is, in your words, who is Dwayne Wallace, the player, and who is he as a person?
The player, I just always want an opportunity to showcase my talents and, work hard and believe and trust in the process. And, off the field, I'm just more of a family and friends guy, just kind of just more laid back, relaxing, spending time with my folks, and, obviously working out and trying to just stay in shape. Stay in shape. That's the hardest thing for a big guy to do. Stay in shape.
Hey,
yeah.
I mean, it's been awesome, getting to talk with you. And I mean, obviously, Alexis is a Notre Dame fan, so she loves having her Notre Dame players on here. I'm a Kansas fan, so I love having my Kansas players on here. And no, it's been a lot of fun, and we'll keep in touch, and we'll be rooting for you, man.
Oh man, appreciate it, man. Definitely appreciative of you guys having me on your podcast.
Yeah, of course. It was awesome to talk to you. And as Jake mentioned, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I'm starting to talking to these KU guys. It's really been awesome, and I'm such a big fan, and I'm going to be following you no matter where you go. And I hope it's in Horns. I hope you end up a Ram. But either way, we'll be watching you, and we'll for sure keep in touch.
Yes, man. Rock chalk all the way, man.
Hey, rock chalk. Let's go. All
Yeah.
right, man. You take care. Again, we'll be in touch. Let me know if you need anything.
Yes, sir. Will do. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care, Dwayne. All right, guys. Joining the show, Nic Weishar, tight end, Notre Dame. How's it going, man?
Doing great. It's been a good couple weeks here training. I got a pro day coming up March 20th, and thanks again for having me on the show. And excited to tell you a little bit about my story and getting ready for the draft and that process. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Something that I've talked about on the show before is I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. So I was especially excited to get you on, and been really looking forward to getting the chance to talk to you, and just really appreciate you taking the time. But just to kind of get things rolling, I guess, we'll go and start from the beginning. At what age did you start playing football, and when was it that you kind of thought, hey, I can play in the NFL one day?
Yeah, absolutely. So I first started playing football. I think I was in like first grade or so. My parents put me in flag football for the first year. My older brothers were playing tackle at the time, and I think I played flag football for my first year, and then about second or third grade is when I started playing tackle football, and just kind of fell in love with it. Fell in love with, as a little kid, having older brothers, always getting beat up on, and it was nice to be able to go out and hit some people and do that sort of thing as a little kid. So I fell in love with that aspect early on, and as far as the dreams of the NFL, I've always had big dreams growing up, and that was something that watching it on TV, watching Bears games and things like that was something I always dreamed about doing. And realistically, I realized that dream maybe isn't too far away. Probably didn't happen until freshman or sophomore year in college, when I'm going up against guys that are getting drafted and competing, with guys during practice at Notre Dame every day, and those guys are going on getting drafted the following year. So once I realized that I was holding my own and competing and doing very well against those kind of great players. And I think especially my first start ever was actually against Clemson in 2015, and they were obviously an unbelievable team. And as a redshirt freshman, it was kind of a big moment for me, playing in a super hostile environment. And we ended up going in overtime that game, and we lost in overtime. But to be able to compete with those guys like Shaq Lawson and different guys that were that are great players in the NFL still today, was kind of you look back and say, oh cow, could this become a reality with a lot of hard work. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, certainly. And obviously, going back to your childhood, you probably watched the NFL and you probably had a favorite player. So I want to ask you, who was it?
Yeah, so I had a lot. So I went to a lot of Bears games, growing up. So watching all those guys was awesome. But I really did pay attention to the tight end position, even as a little kid growing up. And guys like Greg Olsen and Tony Gonzalez were two of my favorites growing up. And obviously they're some of the best to ever play that position. So just being able to watch those guys and see their success was really cool as a young kid.
Yeah, and obviously you ended up going to Notre Dame. And what was kind of the main factor, and what influenced you to ultimately end up choosing Notre Dame as your college?
Right. So I'm from Chicago. So Notre Dame's campus is about an hour and a half away. So, I'm a big family guy. Family and friends were an important part in this decision making process for me. So being close to home was definitely a huge part of it. Being an hour and a half and having everyone come to the games and come visit me and things like that was an awesome part of it. But aside from that, and just the combination of family or faith, academics, and football, those three things were, Notre Dame it's hard to say anything about that bad about any of those aspects for Notre Dame. Obviously, being a Catholic school for me I've been in Catholic schools my whole life. So being able to continue my faith in that manner was a huge aspect. And, academics, they're, the top undergrad business school in the country, which is what I wanted to do going into college. So getting that sort of exposure on that side of academics was huge for me. And then obviously football was, one of the most important as well. So being able to compete for a championship year in and year out and getting that exposure to get to the next level. And Notre Dame has a great tradition with tight ends. And, there's several tight ends in the NFL right now that came out of Notre Dame and, put up great numbers there and are putting up great numbers in the NFL too. So it's this was kind of a combination of everything for me, and turned out to be a really great decision for me.
Oh, without a doubt. Obviously you mentioned the Notre Dame tight ends, and I mean, we could go through the list of, Kyle Rudolph all the way, Troy Nicholas. I mean, now, of course, yourself. And, you played in a lot of memorable games, obviously. I mean, Notre Dame is constantly good, and, you're always playing against, top-notch competition. So, with that being said, do you have a favorite, game that you played in college?
Yeah, so I think I have a few. I think one of the most memorable for me, obviously, what I kind of alluded to it earlier, that Clemson game was my first start. I think that obviously was something I always remember. We lost that game, but it was just a really cool atmosphere and an unbelievable environment to get my first collegiate start at. Other ones, we had one of our big rivals is USC. We play them every year, and you just go through the history books, and some of the greatest college football games ever have been Notre Dame versus USC. So that's always an awesome game to play in. And I remember in 2017 I think we beat them 49-14. That was a home game, and it was just really cool to a lot of guys that normally didn't get to play, walk-ons and things like that didn't get a lot of playing time were able to play towards the end of that game, and that was memorable for me. So a lot of my friends, were able to get in that game and get some playing time, which was really, really cool. And against, such a great opponent like USC, to be able to play in their first game was really cool in that manner. And then also, we played Michigan twice in my time at Notre Dame my freshman year. We beat them 31-0, so that was pretty surreal. And then obviously this year was a great game too. So I think those, anytime you play the Michigans, the USCs of the world, are always very, very memorable.
Yeah, for sure. And I just kind of want to ask real quick, what was it like to play under the great coach, Brian Kelly? I mean, he's just a guy who's obviously incredible and has a great history. And what was it like to just be part of a team that he coached and have that kind of relationship with him?
Yeah, it was really cool. It was cool to be under him with, for 5 years, and to grow with him and to see him, adapt to different teams every year was what, makes him such a great coach. And you can tell he wants the best for us and his players, and every action and decision he makes, and he gets the right people around us and gives us every tool that we need to succeed, and come game time, we're prepared and ready, and we just need to go out and execute our job. So playing under Coach Kelly was an awesome privilege, and he'll definitely, I'm sure, with his stats and statistics, and going 12-0 this season, and he's had championship runs in the past, he'll be known as one of the best Notre Dame coaches in history, which is a pretty amazing feat, as Notre Dame has such great rich tradition in coaching and players. So it was definitely an honor to play under Coach Kelly.
Yeah, and what was it like to have a 12-0 season like you did last year? I mean, that was incredible. And I mean, we spoke to your teammate, Tavon Coney as well, and he mentioned the Clemson game just like you did, as far as the most memorable game. And it just seemed like you guys, as great as you guys were, it just seemed like you guys were so humble about the experience in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something, that's a goal every year, to make the college football playoff. And that was something that I was finally able to do in my fifth year, and with the great team we had. So it was pretty surreal. Obviously, as you go through the season, you're not, as leaders of the team, we're trying to tell the guys, don't pay attention to the college football pairing noise like that. I think in 2017, we let that get to us a little bit in terms of, thinking ahead a little bit. So as leaders of the team this year, guys like Tavon, Drew Tranquil, me, Alex Bars, Sam Mustapher, and all, Tyler Newsom, and all the captains and leaders of the team were making sure that guys were taking it day by day. And I think that's what really helped us in terms of not looking ahead and just focusing on the next opponent in hand. So it was really cool to be able to get to that 12-0 mark. Obviously, it's not something that's very common, and I think it's only happened a few times in Notre Dame history. So to be in the history books on that end is pretty cool. And obviously, it didn't end the way we wanted to. The national championship's always the goal, but to be able to play in that Cotton Bowl and with all eyes in America watching you was a pretty cool experience and something that we'll never forget.
Yeah, and obviously you and Notre Dame have accomplished some really great things on the field, especially last season, as you mentioned, that historic season. And something that I kind of want to touch on is something that you do off the field, which is each year your family puts on a music festival called Wish Fest, and it's a tribute to your late brother who passed away from cancer, and all the profits from the festival go to families affected by cancer. And it just sounds like a really special event, and I just kind of want to know more about it and maybe how that got started and just the type of things that goes on during that event.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. It's something that's very near and dear to my family's heart, and it was really cool to be able to get the support of the Notre Dame football community and just Notre Dame in general, who were all, very supportive of the entire endeavor. So basically just what happened was, so my older brother, Andrew, was diagnosed with cancer, and he had eventually passed away in 2012. But before he passed, he was, he pulled my family aside and asked us basically one last request to be able to pay forward the kindness and generosity that he was shown throughout his battle. So with that, we created the Nic Weishar Foundation, which, as you mentioned, gives money directly to families and children with cancer. Gives them, we can basically write a check and say, do as you please. In terms of, there's so many things that, as you're going through cancer in a family that, bills and different, cancer treatments that just pile up on you and things you wouldn't even expect, just like parking to go to a hospital, different things that you wouldn't even expect to pop up that do. So there's a lot of financial burden that comes with, getting cancer. So Andrew's last wish was to be able to help these kind of families that, came to our aid when Andrew was struggling. So the Nic Weishar Foundation was born, and, the main fundraiser for that is called Wish Fest. It's a music festival that happens once a year and on the south side of Chicago. And we've had some great acts over the years. We had OAR a few years ago, is a pretty big name, Third Eye Blind. This year we had Dispatch and Easton Corbin. So it's been getting bigger and better every year. And, this year I think we raised over $250,000. So it's been really cool to see that thing grow. And overall, the foundation has helped over, I think, 180 families and given out over $900,000. So it's been, I think about 6 years now since this whole thing started. And I'm just so humbled and blessed to see the amount of support that the Nic Weishar Foundation has received, and to be able to, just keep getting this thing to grow bigger and better has been really cool to be a part of.
See, that just, wow, incredible job by you and your family. And, my heart does go out to you about your older brother. Obviously I think everyone has dealt with cancer in some shape or form. So, I always do take, something like that very seriously. And, I'm really happy that you do things like that. I mean, I think, it really says a lot about, really the Notre Dame tight ends. I got to say, with what you're doing here with the Wish Fest and, what Kyle is doing, Kyle Rudolph, obviously with the Children's Hospital, that the end zone he created. I invite all listeners, if they haven't checked what he did out, the NFL, I think NFL Network posted it. And I mean, it's just incredible, but it's so huge to be able to give back. And, I look forward to you in the NFL, but I have a feeling you're going to be up there for one of the most important awards, and that's Man of the Year. So that's what I got my eye on, for you right now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for those kind words. Yeah, and Kyle, I've met Kyle several times, and he's just an unbelievable person too. And I know he was up for that Man of the Year award this year too. And he's has a great family, and that's just something about Notre Dame. It really does invite everyone and encourage everyone to get involved in some way, something that they're passionate about. And I just give credit to my family and teammates and everyone that's around me that push us to make a difference. And football is great. Obviously, I love football, but there's other people out there that need a lot of help, and to be able to use this platform I have to impact them has been a really cool situation, and hopefully we can continue it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And obviously, you're the man off the field, and on the field you're the man as well. What would you say is your biggest strength as a player?
Yeah, I think, just an overall tenacity and grittiness to the way I play. I was asked to, my role on the team was to be more of a blocking tight end the last few years. And, I took that role in stride and wanted to become the best in blocking tight end that I could be. So with that comes a lot of, grittiness and tenacity and worked a lot with the O-linemen in that category too. So, for me as an overall player, I would say, I'm very versatile. I played receiver in high school, so definitely able to catch the ball and that. But like I said, my role here in this last couple of years was more of a blocker. But that's what I'm excited to showcase at the next level is just the overall versatility and to be that complete tight end. So, just a gritty player. Will do anything to get the job done. And I think my teammates and coaches would say I'm a leader on and off the field as well.
That's awesome. And, certainly a player who, in my opinion, and many others, has a lot of strengths and is going to help out no matter what team you go to. And I think in a lot of different ways. And what's something that going towards the NFL draft that you're most looking to improve on, or any goals that you set for yourself to get better at?
Yeah, I think, just day by day in training, just make sure to get more explosive and getting the speed aspect stuff down. And for me, a lot of it is, route running and just in terms of using physicality at the top of the routes and just getting that 1-2 step of separation on a defender. And that comes with, obviously, running routes every day and just getting bigger and faster and stronger in the weight room too. So I think that's an aspect that I've definitely improved on and hopefully can continue to improve on that at the next level.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I look at you and I see, obviously, you took a back seat for the team. I mean, obviously, you were the blocking tight end, and I think really you showcased, obviously you weren't, leaned on heavily in the passing game, but you showcased the ability to do everything. And I think that's really important as a tight end. So often do we see this guy's just a big, this guy's just a big wide receiver. This guy's generally just a fullback. But, I think you're a natural, hands catcher, pass catcher. And I think, that's really going to go a long way because I also think you can block fairly well. And, it kind of reminds me, I'm not saying that you are him because I'm not comparing you, but, it reminds me, at least the situation with George Kittle, at Iowa. I mean, this is somebody that just broke the, tight end receiving record in a single season. And, he really wasn't utilized as much in the passing game. So, I always look at it in college where, college was great. You did your role. You did what you had to, and it's a lot of fun. But once you get to the NFL and once you get to the next level, it's kind of up to you, where you can kind of, take your game to the next level and not every, and I think this is often missed by a lot of people is potential isn't set in college. You can get better in every area. So I'm glad that, you obviously you mentioned it. But with that being said, we are a Rams podcast, and I have to ask you if the Los Angeles Rams have met with you at all so far.
Yeah, so not yet. Coming on the pro day, obviously hope to get a lot of, scouts there, which we usually do. So will be a good opportunity to get in front of the Rams and every other NFL team. But yeah, so hopefully have a great pro day here coming up on March 20th, and we'll meet with several teams. But yeah, I would love to, meet talk with anybody involved with the Rams. I actually have one of my good buddies is Brian Allen, who was drafted I think last year in the 4th round, and so I've been talking with him a little bit, and he obviously loves the situation and organization out there in LA. So would love to hopefully meet with the Rams at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We certainly hope that you meet with the Rams, and I'm sure that you'll meet with tons of teams, at that pro day, and I have no doubt the Rams will be one of them. But a question that I kind of like to ask is, in your words, who is Nic Weishar as a player, and who is he as a person?
Yeah, as a player, I would say definitely the type of player that will be a leader. Can be outspoken or just lead by example, whatever is required, and will do whatever is required to get the job done. Just give me a task and I'll get it done, and I'll bring tenacity and grittiness to the field, and will just be a player that teammates love to play with, be a hard worker, a guy that'll set the example for everyone around me. So, and then also as a person, just fun-loving, love to hang around family and friends. Obviously, very passionate about the Andrew Weishar Foundation and giving back to the community in general. So, hopefully, teams will see that as a pretty full deal package, and hopefully end up somewhere that'll be a great fit.
Yeah, without a doubt, and real quick, Nic, is there a link or anything that we can post for you about the Andrew Weishar Foundation?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Wish Forever, WEISH, the number 4 ever, EVER, Twitter and Instagram there, and then also wishfest.com, WEISHFEST.com, and that'll get you, we have different links to basically everything you could find on that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nic, thank you so much for coming on, and we're big fans of yours, not just as a football player, but as a person. And like I mentioned before, I love talking to these Notre Dame guys. I'm a big Irish fan, and I know that no matter where you go, hopefully it's the Rams, but if not, we'll be fans and we'll be following you for your whole career. And I have no doubt that you're going to accomplish a lot, both on and off the field.
Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks for the incredibly kind words. And again, just thanks for getting me involved. I've been listening to a couple of your guys' podcasts the last few days, and you guys are awesome. Love what you guys are doing, and just thanks again for having me.
Really appreciate that, Nic. Those are also really kind words of yours as well. So, I could tell, whatever NFL team grabs you, they're getting a great player, but they're also getting a great person.
Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have a good one. You too.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hello, listeners. Do you have a local business in or near Los Angeles? Are you trying to promote that said local business? Well, The Downtown Rams podcast is open to any and all business sponsorships. For details and any inquiries, please contact us at downtownrams@gmail.com, or you can direct message us on any social media platform that we currently use. Horns up.